Listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. Should love when I say that. So how about that CIA director? He won't say you're okay to me or let me move into an apartment, but Putin, he says what? You're okay. I just don't know who's overruling him as far as supporting Ukraine. It must be Biden. If it wasn't Biden, they wouldn't be helping the Ukraine by now because the CIA director would have stopped it. Wouldn't even probably help them at all. Well, this is the question, whether he knew, sometimes like here, his boss is Putin, there's no doubt. And they try to extort him online and try to screw up his life online and curse him and move their people against him. And they probably have a dossier on him. They surely have a dossier. So what he does is he gets panicked. But what may have happened is he could have been part of attempting to overthrow his boss, Putin, saying, now I'm in my own and I'm going to run this criminal organization. And then, this is not a fantasy. And then Putin made him afraid. He said, you're okay, boss. You're okay, boss. That's why Russians are some of the most wealthiest people in our nation. No other reason. While they won't even let me, a person that should be at least a millionaire, even lives in an apartment. There is no sex crime. There are no attempts to have sex with children. There is no efforts of grooming. Because I would have actually either had sex with them, but if it was a bait person, I would have actually tried to have sex with them. Now, if they ever allege that, that's bullshit. I just speak to people. Whoever's available, I talk to them. And in fact, they mark certain people, and it's not a game. The whole thing was, I'll show them that I'm normal, that I'm not who the other people say I am. But again, I had no idea that you were working for sex traffickers and narcotics distributors. Whether you're a cop on the street saying, no, you don't, your chain does that. Someone in your chain is working for criminals. And now your whole organization is dirty. So I don't have a problem doing the same thing to criminals that I do to criminals all the time. Make them afraid of being a criminal. And that includes using God and destroying your families. Because you're criminal families. You'll teach your children how to betray the community and make money by destroying your neighbor. And one way you destroy your neighbor is allege that they're a criminal. No, it's not over. See, this is how they always do it. Oh, it's over. We're not doing anything. Look, we're not around you. Hey, I'm still here. I was supposed to be in Olathe walking on the trails this morning. And in actuality, I was supposed to be doing that probably 10 years ago. But let's go based upon the physical move here. I was supposed to be there 3-4 months ago. You don't have to check anybody out. Because checking somebody out means you're killing them. Like a mobster. Check them out. Take them out. That's what that means. It's paranoid to believe that an apartment complex would work with a narcotics distributor and possibly put something in that apartment that could harm me based upon the cartels having a contract on me. Cartels have a contract on me, there's no doubt. However, in this country, they don't just walk up and shoot you, especially if you're a white American. They know that doesn't work. But you all know that, right? Because why? You do work for the cartels. If a cartel member came here to move into an apartment, yes, sir, yes, sir. We'll even give you a police escort into the apartment complex. Just keep that money rolling. Oh, but you're a Republican like Trump? The guy who let go the biggest fish we ever arrested in Mexico? The only person that would actually make a difference in narcotics distribution and fentanyl distribution? Because that went to the root cause of why it's being distributed there and here? So when you tell me you're a chief of police, I'll say, what does that got to do with you not being a narcotics distributor or a sex trafficker? What's happening in Mexico is happening here, but in a different way, but yet the same way. Essentially, the Secretary of Defense in Mexico is into narcotics distribution, and you, a little peon police chief in Kansas, nowhere Kansas, is above that because you have a position? Well, God said we're not to be respecter of persons. And what you've shown me is that you're a criminal spy master working for criminal enterprise. Because as soon as the people got uncomfortable here with what? They're not afraid of me hitting them or they wouldn't be operating me. If they were afraid of me killing them or hitting them, they wouldn't do this. It's easy money to them because I'm not going to do that. And they're sure of it. They're afraid of being arrested. That's how law enforcement works when you're a criminal. Like your game is bullshit, all of you. Force the crime and then arrest the person. Be around the person, give them second thoughts, help their mind clear, and stop them from crime, which is what my persona does before they get arrested. Like I told you, I could sit here and find somebody dealing dope, get them into a job, fix their life, and what would happen? You would see the mark from Satan where that person has to go to prison. Because why? Because Satan hates them. And you would start getting that person fired. You would start ruining that person's life, saying, we're taking care of the community, we're checking this person out. There's no law enforcement intelligence program going on. It's a scam. It's the same thing as organized crime running sanitation industry. The trans, no trans argument's even bullshit. That's how you think it's politics. It's spycraft. Because if I don't do it, they do that. If they can create an issue where they can get people to kill over, then they've got their criminal enterprise moving again. Look at the trans world. Look at the anti-trans world. There's people living amazing lives in each organization, right? But the person on the street, that person's pro-trans, that person's anti-trans, depending on who the spy is speaking to. Spy includes your law enforcement criminals. You're not law enforcement officers, you're law enforcement criminals. I don't need to change one iota. Actually, I need to increase. Obviously, I need to increase. So again, God winked at it for a few months. You all got froggy, increased what you're, and now your voices are trying to say, well, if you would have attacked us right away, maybe we would have stopped. So again, what do they actually say? Bullshit. They're all full of shit. Shouldn't even been in a law enforcement position. They're just there to play the game out, get rich, go to Silicon Valley, and hang out with Jonathan Luna's buddies. But don't know what they're doing there because that's what killed Jonathan Luna. Money, yeah. That's how they are. They're not police officers. They're police criminals because they're moving spycraft. Again, the idea that you shoot somebody on the street because you freak out and you shot somebody and didn't have control, I don't know if that's really chargeable. You could be fired for it, but I don't think it's chargeable. That has nothing to do with what I'm saying. You're running a criminal enterprise, all of you. In fact, I'm disabled. And you won't let me have housing? I never touched anyone. I never touch anyone. I believe in finding a woman and getting married. But you're not going to try to discredit my investigations of what you're actually doing, all of you. Put the reversal on this part of what they do. You know that. You know, they're living my life and I'm living their life. Because on earth, if you're forcing people to pedophilia, you're supposed to be a pedophile and get caught and then taken out of the public realm. If not, kill yourself or drive off the end of the earth. No, it's all triggers. They know what they're doing. That's their mental shield. Well, I don't know exactly everything that I'm doing. I'm just doing my job. You're doing a job. You work for a criminal enterprise. It's not bad luck. Everything is identifiable. Again, I'm a criminal investigator. A first-year criminal investigation person would know what I'm doing and everything that I did. But when they pay you to write a fabricated thing, then that's something completely different. When we pay you to shred exculpatory information or delete it, that's another thing. There's a possibility, again, I don't agree with what happened to Jonathan Luna, but there's a possibility that he was moving people into sex crime. I'll let you in on that one. Because we're at that point. Even back then. Well, how do I know that? Well, based upon how this is how it works. Based upon how the man at Rose Hill Apartments carried himself, that put shit all the way back on Jonathan Luna as to how you carry yourselves around the spycraft operation. Again, it's not criminal. I mean, it is criminal, but it's not law enforcement. It's not an investigation. It's a criminal enterprise using that position and those, hey, good morning, those things to effectuate the criminal enterprise. And you get to the point, you can hear them and go, well, that's the way of the world. And they try, what it is, and when somebody commits suicide, sometimes that's what drives them over the edge. They're that big, and this is really happening, and nothing's going to change, and we're everywhere, but you're taking money on them. Your chief takes money. Your chief is a fucking crook, man. You better wake up, all of you. Find another police department. Get out of here. Every one of you. Believe me. You're not taking it over. They're that far gone. I'd move another state if you have to. I know you have to start over, but that's what I would tell you to do. And if they're like that there, then find another profession. Because they're in the oldest profession that exists, and that's prostitution. They're a bunch of whores. I'm not saying anything that an investigator wouldn't say on the street when confronted with what you're all doing. My behavior is appropriate. Your behavior is bullshit, all of you. Every single one of the mayors in this nation will play your game, but they wish they had the huevos to sit on the street and say, fuck you. Fuck you for what you're doing. I keep whamming the reversal, but it's only an illusion. It'll get them. But when they whammy the reversal, you can't see where they're getting got. And that's part of their wares. Right now, it's costing them a lot of anti-power to keep everybody up here so nobody drives off the side of the road. Try to speak through me. I'm going to curse them off. They possess people. They cause excited utterance. When you have those cases where it's an excited utterance and it makes no sense because the person's actually innocent and they made you believe he was guilty or she was guilty, that's them. They possess somebody's mind. Now, what am I supposed to think about this Oklahoma guy driving in? I really don't give a shit. He's a rude motherfucker, and he probably works for all of you. What, am I supposed to be afraid of him? See, You focus them on me being that way with spells. Everybody else here. But that guy is a rude motherfucker. But they don't even see him, right? See, that's what they're doing to the world to make all the arguments and fights. I shouldn't say motherfucker. No, it has power. You know that, all of you. On this planet, motherfucker and fuck you has power. You don't think God would use the word fuck you or motherfucker if it would power criminals and devils into hell? At least hell on earth, if not hell in hell. Of course God would use it. God's not a respecter of person or a respecter of languages. We use what we need to do to destroy all of you. CIA. So we know criminals are operating CIA because the CIA director's in that thing. He got afraid because when the thing happened, he saw the stuff online pick up where he's being extorted. So he decided, well, I got to call Putin and tell him I'm still with him. Putin, you're okay. They actually use that to confuse people that they're victimizing. Now, they'll tell you that they're undercover and they have to do all this. It's bullshit, all of you. And you won't know it. There will be no credit for housing or rehousing, which means you can do it, but you're not going to get enough for it because it's a game. You're unhousing people to come along and rehouse them, and they get credit for rehousing them? Fuck you and fuck your systems, whether it's New York, LA, Kansas, wherever it is. Anytime I find that, it will be fucked. The game, that is. Don't think that you're safe in these other places either. You will be fucked for unhousing while rehousing. Nobody's a hard case, all of you. I'm very easy. I didn't say anything. I tried to live my life. Here they were grooming me. This is really what they're doing. They're grooming me to be a pedophile. It's that sick. It's that sick. But also grooming me for other things. They spent all those years grooming me to be a pedophile. Using gorgeous-looking women at times. I should have known that a gorgeous woman wouldn't want to be with me? What are you talking about, all of you? Very handsome, I was very fit, had automatic income, didn't use drugs, drank lightly, knew more spiritual information than anybody else on the planet. Get rid of that. Try to put in people's heads ignorance is bliss. Well, then you're living a blissful life, right? Say they're trying to put that out like everybody else should be ignorant of what they're doing. Partly CIA. So our director got afraid of Putin, so he made his little phone call. I'm okay, right, boss? He actually spoke to his boss, man. Putin. That's what's going on. Rest is an illusion. That's why the general gets freed. They either paid or extorted or both. Oh, now they're going to bring the little girl out. Have a good trip, Mr. New York. You got a union guy down there in DeSoto. He said he can't deal with the weather. You're not testing me. I never touched anyone. If you have a case that says I harmed somebody, it's bullshit. They pull it out of their ass, and the person that actually harmed the person is either them or somebody they know, or they're just so sick that they don't care. So the guy's working in DeSoto, and he's like, I'm going to get a couple more checks on matter. He's from New York. It's, nice weather in New York right now. I told him I was going to go to Colorado Springs, but it's all Republican who feels like living with those assholes. At least here, not everybody's a Republican. They actually changed the church. I told you from the beginning that they were changing the church to believe that being an antichrist is holy. I mean, that's real. Trump is antichrist. There's others. They're just going to try to focus you on Trump. I'm speaking too much about the church. Bullshit. It's like telling Jesus he spoke too much about the Sadducees and Pharisees. What do you think? You're doing something good? Again, it's the same game. You're causing people to be unhoused. You're causing people to be hungry. You're causing people to be addicted to drugs. Because I know your personalities. You're the personality of Satan, all of you. Again, the appearances don't matter. That goes back to the Old Testament. Let's go to Ezekiel 34. Who do you think the people that there was being spoken to in Ezekiel 34? It's the police department. It's the governor. It's the mayor. I'm playing a game. So they're out there telling us how wonderful they are for rehousing people while their police department is beginning to unhouse the future people. And they go, why do we do it? You're fucking crooks and sex fiends, all of you. Don't try to put the holier than thou out there. You have not sex gangs, but you might have sex gangs. You probably do have sex gangs. But you have law enforcement gangs here, and they're spycraft gangs. Every once in a while, the taboo is you're not supposed to move out. You're supposed to support the narcotics distributor when they pay, but you're not supposed to distribute narcotics. But that's when people get arrested. But they are at that level where one of them could do it or a group of them could do it, and could be doing it right now. Again, they found that pedophile in law enforcement, and I think he was doing some. Actually, they didn't bust him for it. Maybe I think he was providing some of the drugs. And what they do is they go, well, that's what more is like. I mean, it's bullshit. Meanwhile, I'm walking around my community going, is that girl okay? Name Jesus. His wife, she didn't look well yesterday, and she's really kind of down. I got to heal her. She probably needs vitamins. See, that's what I tell people. That's when I speak to people. You take vitamins. Maybe you'll be in law enforcement. You seem like you're good for that. That's what I tell young people. I shouldn't be talking to young people. Bullshit. I don't talk to them that much. Actually, I probably haven't spoken to one in 3 years or 4 years. Maybe 4 years. Because I don't go out to the stores like I used to. That's where they would be in the store. Hi, how you doing? In fact, back when, they were marked for me to speak to them. Because you were part of the investigation. Speak to them, show them how you're normal, and that's it. That's what's supposed to happen. It's a show? No, it's not a show. You brought me out? No. You fucked my life for 30 fucking years and caused physical disability beyond a certain point. So don't try to put it fucking back on me, because it doesn't work like that. In fact, every kid you use has the potential to grow up to be a whore. And even an evil whore like all of you. Having sex with your bosses so you can extort them into torturing people in the community. That's what's going on in law enforcement. Now, there's the victims of sex crime in government, and then there's those that are sex criminals, and they use the sex to take advantage of the system and their boss. So again, you have to understand, they'll say oh, this woman was a victim of sex crime. They made her that way, and she's just twisted. It's and I'm glad it didn't happen. I told Elizabeth Smart, I said about Elizabeth Smart, and what I say sometimes works. I told Elizabeth, not Elizabeth Smart, maybe I did tell her in her head, I don't know. But I said Elizabeth Smart should not focus on going in law enforcement until she knows she's okay. It's the wrong thing to do. Because I think she wanted to go in law enforcement, be an attorney, and I said, nah, you're a victim, and you're doing that because you're a victim, and that's not the reason to do it. Because you'll make mistakes, and it won't be good for her head, because that's where she finds her closure. She needs to find closure first, and then decide to do it. And she probably did, she pretty much didn't do it, right? Because she didn't need it. And they may have, again, back then, I think there was more well people in law enforcement. And they probably may have heard me and told her, said, decide. Or even in the Mormon world, I may have contacted them. I can't remember. Make sure that get with God first and let God sort things out, and then do it. You're fucking bullshit, all of you. They project the same thing about you. No, not the same fucking thing about me. Fuck you, and fuck your lies. Now they're sick. Oh, we're really here to help, Larry. Fucking pieces of shit. Oh, this is abusive? Fuck you. This is what you're saying to me when you're saying what you're saying. Enough of the pretty words as the Bible had foretold. I spent a lot of years speaking pretty words to all of you. Now, did I frequent cam girls? Yes. How old am I? 59. How long did I do that? What, about the total length of time is probably less than 6 months. What did I do mostly there? Give people free money. That's about it. I mean, I tried dating a few of them. It just didn't work because they were in the middle. In other words, if they weren't watching, I'd have been married and that'd have been it. And it would have worked. That's not the right place to find a woman, they want to say. Okay, because that's a thought that's going to hit your head. What is the right place? Online, on a dating app? They're there too, before I went there. And again, they're sexualizing me. You have to understand they're sexualizing me. They're bringing adult women. They're focusing on me. Then they're bringing children in, trying to cross-wire that. And I did actually finally date someone, but as soon as I was planning to go there, Satan acted, but the police acted also. They had prepared my mother for something. Again, they operate my mother, and she folds and does what they want. So again, when you're ready to speak to somebody around you, they're tracking you online and know what you're going to do, and they have everybody opposed to it. Unless it's like, I'm going to go commit a sex crime, and everybody will root you along. That's your government. It's a piece of shit. It's the private sector cartels that are with them. They're pieces of shit. The sex traffickers are running around Johnson County doing whatever they want, living rich lives. Pieces of shit. Every place that did not allow me to move into, I would investigate for narcotics distribution and sex trafficking. And ties to organized crime. No, I have nothing in my history. Nothing at all. I just explained, people go out all the time, get a woman drunk or take advantage of a woman that's already drunk and have sex with her. I don't do that. So I figured they're blocking me. I go to a bar, trying to get with women. I see the agent. A woman looks at me. I look at her. An agent stands up, walks over. Unlimited funds. In a special operation to do whatever they want, including have sex with the woman. Including Naples PD and the Sheriff's Department. So I figured, again, could I have had better judgment? No, of course not. I'm in a prisoner of war camp. There are actions that a spy can engage in to get you to seek another person or even seek sex. Given enough time, it will transfer into just seeking sex. Again, I've never just sought sex, per se. So I'm 59 years old. These clowns have been getting drunk, using drugs in law enforcement, having sex with whoever they want, including coworkers. For how long? The whole career. Less than 6 months. And again, I'm not there 24 hours a day for 6 months. Right. When it became apparent that I was never ever going to, because I had to study what was going on. And I had to figure out that they were communicating directly. And again, what most likely happened to my friend in Colombia is somebody came along that had money, and she went in that direction. But that's CIA, FBI, etc. Then what happened the next year to show that's what happened? Secret Service got busted for seeking prostitution in Colombia. So again, that's what's actually in law enforcement. You know, there's a mote in my eye and there's a beam in theirs. Or the moat, right? So I guess I said it right. Okay. Being denied consortium, all of you. It's worth trillions, really. But you want to show that you're the Antichrist. Well, that's fine. But we'll treat you like the Antichrist, some of you. What, the church loves us. They're our partners and we give them money. Well, they're the Antichrist. They're the synagogue of Satan. And it doesn't have anything to do with the denomination. Although some entire denominations are Antichrist. Not because of their doctrine, because they're Antichrist. There's a large leeway for doctrine. But there's very little leeway for being an Antichrist that works with government to destroy the person in the pew. Your neighbor. Your neighbor's in the pew that they're operating. Well, you don't be part of it. You don't need to be part of it. You embrace that person and see how the magic of Jesus works. But of course, you don't care, all of you. You'll just focus on the word that I say, magic. Well, magic is evil. Well, they don't call that magic. But it's magic. So in the Hare Krishna thing, I was distributing food like I did there. I was a very important person within a short period of time. Wasn't grooming anybody. See, that's how when you're a good person and you dedicate yourself in charitable efforts, they say, well, he's grooming everybody. You see, that's how they destroy the history of a person. Meanwhile, while somebody's grooming, they say, oh, he's a wonderful charitable person. But yet the mayor of LA, the mayor of New York, the mayor of Chicago has shit in their history. So they go with that system because it made them rich. So again, if you're rehousing people, but you're allowing unhousing for any reason, don't deceive yourselves. You get no credit and you'll go to hell. You can't, the Catholic thing from years ago doesn't work. Now it's a little bit different. So they hate the Pope and they hate the Catholics, but they've actually changed into being Baptists, and the Baptists changed into being Catholics. That's pretty much part of what happened. Again, we see this in the Bible also, happening all the time. Even Israel was hated by God for periods of time. So I was there in the spiritual community, and I was, engaged in charity, charitable work. I spent my day, distributing food and cooking and cleaning. Not like everyone else, much more. Not like the people that were actually receiving housing from them. Receiving like sustenance and everything else. Those people worked a lot less. So I was sitting there, and there's a bench to the side. So it's kind of like a T. My table goes across one way, and then there's, it's perpendicular to the wall, and then parallel with walls, a bench and a little space to walk in between the bench and the table, but they were essentially adjacent to the table where this food is blessed. Again, it's very interesting because I went to that community, and then, when you read the Bible about Paul and about food being blessed and all that, it means something more. When I think part of what they used to get them to hate me was I would talk about Jesus. And because the church was so offensive, a lot of them didn't understand that Jesus was different. And again, their leader had accepted Jesus, was different than the church. So I guess she was about 20, 22. I think her spiritual name was Preetvi or something like that. And she was a very good-looking woman. She had like a sleeve tattoo. But there was this guy who, I can't remember how long he'd been in there, but he was a senior member of the organization. Now, if they were just talking or just having a normal experience, I wouldn't have said anything. And it was more than once. You know, I'm not there to do that. But I'm sitting there trying to focus on what I'm doing. And it involves this distribution of the holy food. It's called prasadam. And they're sitting there. I mean, if they got any closer, they'd be on top of one another. So again, they were skin to skin. And again, if you know what that religion's about, again, I'm not saying that people should be without sex, without marriage. I understand that God explained to me that each religion fits somebody on this planet, but it's all confused. And people in that religion went celibate and then said, you know, I need to be married. I've been lying for a while, because they were like big members of the organization. So there are people that, you know, realized their issue and took care of it the way they were supposed to. And again, no matter who you are, again, there's something spirit here, and I think I know what it is. No matter who you are in that organization, if you're at home doing something sexual, that's your business. But this is the temple. It's right outside the temple room. It's where the holy food is being distributed. So again, it's not not me going into somebody's life and saying, what are you doing? They're coming out to the temple. They're sitting in a bench within 4 feet of the holy food. They're practically in each other's laps. They're touching, petting. So again, that was repeat issue, and I went to leadership. I said, you know, this is happening. Now, they banned him for a while, which, you know, they said they were going to let him back on. I said, I don't care what you do to him. I never told you to ban him. I said, this is just happening. So again, the deep state may have been playing with their head around me and making them feel nervous around me because I had been in law enforcement. But again, I'm that guy's best friend in reality, because who knows what he would have done. And again, it's wrong. He's a senior member. I think he had something to do with the Ratha Yatra parades. He was he would, you know, I guess he would travel around and help them set up the Ratha Yatra parades, which you might have seen in a city. It isn't like a pride parade, but they have a cart that they pull. I'm sure they've done it in New York, right? L.A. So he was a pretty big guy, and, you know, he can be influential with his position. And I believe he was, you know, possibly moving that part of it to groom her. Again, it's a celibate religion, so pretty much, you know, even in marriage, if you're not planning to have a kid, you're not supposed to have sex. That was no life I was supposed to have. I could have possibly, if my life had started different. Again, God knows what life is best for each person. What your law enforcement's doing, what the CIA is doing, is taking people away from where God has put them. At this point, as I've explained, LGBTQ is now a life where God needs to put some of the Ezekiel 34 people, because there's no way to reverse it, and it's not their fault. But yet there are people in government trying to put people in LGBTQ that aren't supposed to be there. And again, it's the same. It's conversion. It's forced conversion therapy. I'm not against therapy. Some people need therapy to get their sexuality straight. Again, so I'm against these blanket bills. But yet, who's pushing the blanket bill? The same people that says that they shouldn't be LGBTQ. Because they get to operate it. Because if you can fix something that they're breaking in a person's life, then they don't get paid the Weinstein bonus for making a person gay. How you doing? You trying to find an apartment or something?
I'm waiting for somebody.
Okay, great. Johnson County vehicle. So again, it's that big. It's CIA, man. It's a CIA operation. and bigger. Because the CIA at this point is being controlled by something. Putin, Chinese, cartels. So if you go to clinical psychology, again, I don't know if they monkeyed with it or not, but if a person acts out violently, it could be related to sexual abuse. Forcing LGBTQ on somebody that needs to be heterosexual is abuse, vice versa. If you're forcing heterosexual, again, I'm not telling you that anybody has to be gay. I realize that the original plan was to be straight, but I think to get there, you have to walk around naked like they did in the garden. So again, the argument really doesn't have any way. However, again, I believe everybody could be heterosexual, but I also believe that people can be born without birth defects. I also believe that the lame can walk, but it requires your demonic minds to move aside. We're stagnated with technology and all sorts of things right now. And that's because their minds are moving to curse people. Therefore, the technology won't manifest. What I'm doing is readjusting it so they suffer along with us. And then they'll hopefully let go and let the technology come up. But we haven't had a big enough crash yet. It's obvious. It may take nuclear war. Because they're being told in their head, don't worry about it. You got money. Nuclear war ain't going to hit your place. Putin would never do it. Here's this disabled veteran vehicle with a Ranger tab. I wonder who that is. So when we go to Omar Mateen, look, I was in Florida. I know you're abusive. I know you try to make people gay. One night I was looking for a club to go to, and there's a trans club there. So again, Naples is full of shit. They have porn stars living there. They have pornographers living there. They have a trans club there. I didn't know it was a trans club. I was looking I want to go out, talk to people, They're isolating me. So I was going to go out. The other club I had went to, the Irish pub, was obviously working for them. Make sure he doesn't get with anybody. It's too dangerous. It's bullshit. But they use that kind of term. And can you think about it? The dangerous people are getting with everybody, and the not dangerous people that they want to kill can't get with anybody. And that's what they use. Oh, look, he's with nobody. Well, what did you say in every one of those communities to everybody in the community? Don't let him with anyone. But yet you're going to say he's antisocial because you don't let him get with anyone, or she to get with anyone. So Naples, Florida, where all these rich people like Bongino live, they're not living that real life that they make you believe, like the holier than thou life. They're not real Christians. They really can't understand the Bible at all, because having eyes they see not, having ears they hear not, because they're evil. So I'm like, oh, geez. I just want to go in and look around because you had to pay at the door. Went in real quick, looked, walked out. And then every day after that, they're like, more goes to the trans club again. That's who they are, man. They're sick. That's how they spend their life, man. Devils, demons, antichrists, witches, sorcerers, and worse. So again, they're all fake. And Trump's fake. Should there be trans people? Well, it should happen the way God wants it to happen, whatever it is. How about that? Oh, there's the guy. Yeah, I just saw the guy there. Yeah, he just went around the corner. If he would have talked to me, I would have told him what the car was. But I guess I was talking to him when I interrupt. Thanks, man. And then I couldn't go to the gym without them throwing kids at me. Well, but understand, more touches the child. They're spelling me to touch the children, to have sex with children, to attempt to do something wrong with a child. This is what they're doing today. That's what they did yesterday and what they will do tomorrow, but that's the reason the planet will be destroyed. no matter how long it takes. It's like a taxi. You got a taxi or something? You on a taxi service? She's got this like hole punchers and she's clipping his ride card or something. Punching a hole in his ride card. You're evil, all of you. You engage in evil and you're evil, all of you. Well, I'm just doing my job. Well, your job is evil. Then you're evil, right? Oh, no, I'm just doing my job. No. It doesn't work like that. You see, that's a satanic scam. I'm just doing my job. Well, we don't know. Okay, we know when it gets this rich, doesn't say anything. See, again, that's the truth. If to keep your job you have to commit a crime, then that's criminal remuneration. You understand how that works? I mean, I know you're ignorant. You're not really investigators or law enforcement. You're just posing. If you would lose your job if you wouldn't commit a crime, then your pay, your position, your uniform, your gun, the whole thing is criminal remuneration. No matter how many times you do a good job somewhere that's like a real law enforcement. I don't know if you can actually do a law enforcement job once you go over that dark side. Because then it's just like unhousing somebody and then rehousing others. I mean, it's bullshit. If you agree to unhousing someone, you are unhousing me, all of you. I know what your goal is. Is it only psychological and it makes me crazy? No. There is no federal agent or former federal agent that would accept you changing an immediately available apartment to a week out. The cartels could get in there and do anything they want. They could wipe the whole wall. It could take me 6 months to get well again once I move in there because you wipe drugs all over the wall. That caused me not to be able to walk because my legs locked up. Now, you could probably do it in 2 days, but it's a lot less likely. There's not a single federal agent that would allow that. And now they're scratching their head going, remember when they delayed the movement? Remember how sick you were? Not joking, all of you. You'll rot in hell for it, all of you. You're responsible for every law enforcement death that was caused by your organizations doing, or that activity, not necessarily your organization, the activity, because you're part of that one thing. Well, let's all call Putin and tell him, Putin, you're okay. I mean, this is crazy. We're spending billions of dollars to fight Russia, and the CIA director goes, hey, bud, you're okay. Don't worry about it. Chicken shit garbage. Got extorted. He's like, Putin, take this free. You're okay. Please let us up. CIA is not part of this. Wackos. No, he's not grooming Putin. Believe you me, he's afraid. Because Biden won't stop. That's who's doing it. That's what that says. It's not the CIA director that would do that whole thing, whether they're working for it or not. Again, a CIA director is limited in what he can do in that situation. He could throw it here and there, but he simply has to let Putin know that he still grovels and worships him. That's really what it is. And God would support all that, right? Well, maybe he's a Christian and he's trying to do something nice. This is where they all are in their mind. Oh, sugar plum fairies. not dangerous. Never been dangerous. To fuck you off is not to be dangerous. No, if you put that in a computer with everything else that I'm doing and what I'm telling you I'm doing, it all makes sense. And I'm not dangerous. And no, I didn't spend my whole life saying fuck you. But you're not going to gay me by me not saying fuck you. You see how that works? And they know that. Because now they're bitched. It's not a game. It's psychological warfare, psychological torture, criminal enterprise, racketeering, extortion. They're trying to extort me. But actually, the goal is to kill me. Naturally or any other way. But how long have I been speaking? I'm getting there. It's almost an hour. I didn't know if I was going to make it in an hour. Boy, it felt hot when I walked down. I was like, oh my God, what's going on again? The solar flares! Ah! I dare you to do that in your car when you're driving on patrol. The solar flares! Oh my God, the windshield magnified it! That's the world we live in because God's destroying it. It was foretold. You'll find it in Scripture. Can you imagine what it's going to be like to be in Saudi Arabia in 10 years, them stabbing the back double crossers? I've helped them so many times. So CIA said, no, don't help them, don't help them. Okay, don't help them, don't help them. Okay. Now Saudi Arabia is it's going to be like real hell on earth. They're all going to have to live inside. Have to make special clothes. They're going to have like air-conditioned suits to go outside. It's be like being on Mars, or actually like being on Mercury, right? As they walk, the sand. So the sand's so dry, it just billows up and like clouds every time they walk. It's like walking in ash. It's because even the sand is incinerated by the sun. It's over. They're freaking. And then at a certain point, of course, oil is going to be worth nothing. You see where it's going, right? 150 degrees, and oil is worth zero. Worst thing that can happen is that you pray to God for help, and I come and help you, and then you try to kill me with all the others. Q. Clue, Johnson County. So I can be a blessing and or a curse, but the curse is triggered by your actions, all of you. The blessing just happens. It was never better to be in a Marshal Service than when I was in there. But when they started cursing me beyond a certain point, I started going down below a certain point, then everything started falling apart. You should see these weirdos. Oh, no, we should have lower paid employees. We shouldn't be paid high dollar for what we're doing. But only us, but not them. This is really what they did. We should be paid big money. And we have to approve of you to get this money. I mean, they're sickos. But I think it was when did all the extra money come in? Either actually probably it was a couple months before I went in or something. All of a sudden they're getting higher pay. In the marshals, criminal investigators across the board. I guess while I was in the beginning of that part, the availability pay started, right? But then there was, you used to have to compete up to 12, but it was just automatic right before I went in. They started cursing me off well, we'll get rid of that. Yeah, that's intelligent. Let's get rid of that. Because they're self-serving pieces of shit. People that are just fuck-offs all day, push to have that because they wanted peons. Yeah, it's still not a good working environment, I'll tell you that. You can tell. You're touching me. Who wants to sit around, you filthy pieces of shit, and be touched all day at work? Well, all of a sudden, the girl's having sex with the guy thinking it's the greatest thing on earth until the next girl comes in from the recruiting class. Or as a recruit. A rookie, should I say. Then she gets it. No, it's an illusion. The man that's having sex with you makes you believe it's your fault that they broke up. That's like the biggest scam going in federal law enforcement about the other places. Vice versa, vice, whatever sex you're on. The same thing they're using on me. We're doing this because of what you did more. You were there months before, and I ignored you. No, I don't have to ignore you for the rest of my life. Fuck you and fuck your family. And that'll be for the rest of my life. Your lives are forever changed no matter what you see. No, you're not testing me. That is psychological warfare, spycraft, and psychological torture designed to cause a Pulse nightclub or something such as that. And it did cause Pulse nightclub. You're all part of that. But it also caused the shooting at the Walmart in El Paso. It also caused the shooting at the bank in Kentucky. So again, the big governors and mayors, you're all part of the system that causes that. But you play your parts well. Again, the unhoused, then rehoused thing, that's going to condemn all of you. You can't unhouse people while rehousing them and saying you're not responsible. Now, granted, in LA, it sounds good. Well, we got to make sure people aren't being unhoused. But then her message is, we have to take care of the psychology, which I agree to. But don't play the deep state psychology game. This person has to be medicated because they know too much. No, my reaction is appropriate. My action was inappropriate when I left the Marshal Service because I didn't say anything, because I was instructed not to say anything. But also, I didn't realize how big it was. You have to realize, little girl KS committed a crime against me with intention, continually, to include when she walked up to me and spoke about DB, the SOG, Special Operations Group deputy, that ended up using heroin. And of course, that's wrong and was put out of the Marshal Service. But the CIA people that she's affiliated with did a dossier and realized he had used heroin when he was a kid and then triggered him into using it. They're not protecting us. They weren't testing him. She wanted him gone, and they operated. Because she had sex with older deputies that were connected to CIA. Back in the 60s and 70s, that was what the marshals kind of had the connection. But it stayed there through the years to certain people. Because at that point, it was an unofficial connection. Although with Slickster, they brought it back in. I imagine he was working officially. So again, you're going to work and you're like, okay, I'm going to do the best job. You can't do it because they're operating you with high-level CIA technology to cause you to be a sexual offender, to cause you to be a shotgun pawner like Bustamante. They're not testing anyone. The test is different than the force. It's all entrapment. About 50% of law enforcement is entrapment, but they're not documenting it. They're just putting a pencil whip case together, and they bank on the idea. Like when I left the Marshal Service, why didn't I tell anyone? That's what they bank on, because it's a psychological operation. And they get in with your close friend. Your close friend says you don't say anything. 50% of law enforcement is entrapment. And another 25% is indirect entrapment. So only 25% of the cases are real, and that would fit with what we see out on the street. I see them doing real work about 25% of the time, based upon a psychic view. Boy, I just hate this woman. This guy's I hate him actually because he's lucky. She's just like a normal person, like a normal woman. I'm like, a normal woman. But I mean, she has her problems. They have fights in it, but they drink and then they have fights. Right? And she smokes. Maybe she needs to smoke to be normal. But then again, like a woman dates me, she might stop smoking. Right? I actually thought about women and their health improved and their fitness improved. Because I was a personal trainer, really. But they were blocking me from it because of my civil rights work. Right. But it wasn't real work. I mean, I was just speaking out. But I have power, of course, when I speak out, it changes. But that's not a reason, Alfie. We're in the United States. Civil rights work is to be blessed, and you're supposed to get extra way. So again, your civil rights leaders, even Crump, I work with Crump every so often, because you're over the line, all of you. I mean, it's so fucking stupid. I mean, to a certain degree, I take an officer aside that shot somebody while they were in a car. Did you need to be in the car? You need to ask yourself, did you need to be in that car? Did you need to do that? Don't we have methods to handle this? Here, let me step in front of a moving car, and this is a different situation, but let me step in a moving car and shoot the guy that's driving it. Move out of the way, get on the radio, and the end result may be the same. And yes, there's public out there that could be in danger. But shooting somebody in a moving vehicle puts people in danger. It puts yourself in danger when you get so obsessed about arresting somebody or searching the vehicle or whatever it was, or killing the person. Again, remember, the illusion is that they never intended to kill that person because there's no connection. But the spycraft thing is the connection. Well, some drug dealer was paying because he had a beef with this guy, or this guy was dating his ex. That's really going on out there. People with money that want to kill somebody that's dating their ex can do it through law enforcement. Thank you. Thank you. There's a question as to whether Jonathan Luna's girlfriend was part of something like that. Okay. There really is. And she's a very wealthy person today. Now, there's a lot of different psychosis out there. She was psychotic, I'll tell you that. She may still be psychotic. There were reports from others that she was psychotic. I never elicited any information about that woman, but I briefly checked something out. Looking for ties to something. Because just because somebody's in law enforcement, again, I spoke about the criminal families. It became apparent that there were criminal families out there, and they were sending their children into law enforcement to take over. Now, they may be only deep state families, but it's still organized crime and racketeering. Deep state is really a fancy government word to cover organized crime and racketeering at the level of CIA technology. There is a question whether she had something to do with his death. Was she manipulating his mind? She definitely tried to do it to my mind. And then when we got to the point, I can't find it anymore, there's a report generated on the Yardbird site for Jonathan Luna that said she was admonished for putting her sexuality out there. That's what she did to me, while I'm being isolated. But I'm not sure if it wasn't real. Again, there could have been some, there was a connection to something. Information came up within the Marshal Service that there was a prior relationship, and it was a buff bodybuilder. So again, she hadn't worked whatever that was out in her head, possibly, and then tried to take me down through it. No, she's not. without baggage, major baggage. She really shouldn't be in the position to tell you the truth based on what she did to me. Back then, I have no idea if she disconnected or not. But again, if you're going to continue this rest of my life, we're going to have to put a little more information out there. And I'm going to try to keep it as secret as I can. Well, it doesn't make her Jonathan Luna's friend just because she cries about it. Right? I mean, she could be a Mata Hari type. Right? And that's really pretty much what came up through the grapevine. They would come up to me and speak. Again, I generally don't solicit information, maybe once or twice in my life. I generally just speak to people and they tell me things. And no, I wasn't bringing that topic up. In fact, I was offended by the topic because of how she had fucked my life up. CSOs were coming up to me and speaking to me, trying to give me the evidence. I said, you got to talk to the FBI. You can't talk to me. I don't want to hear it. I have nothing to do with those two people. I, met him once in a gym week before he was killed, which may have been, again, the other side of it. That may have been too much for them, where they saw him and I conversing, and they just wanted to take him out before maybe he would help my life somehow, or I would help his life. Again, two of the victims meet, then they power up, and are both protected. Well, Jonathan Luna could have been a victim of that woman. It was rather psychotic what she did to me. But again, same thing. Disabled people harm disabled people. I mean, they're sick. Been sick, are sick, and will be sick. And then they'll go to hell. You can't isolate somebody and introduce altered sexuality and then say the person's doing whatever they want to do. Again, a lot of what I did was investigation, but still, that's part of the investigation. And if you want to call it politics, fuck you again, because you just said fuck you to me. You understand that, all of you? If you're telling me that's politics, then fuck you too. So your pretty words have no use. Politics, when they tell you it's politics and when they do something to you, just look at them and go, fuck you. You just said fuck you to me, so I'm going to say it back. That's how the government works, a piece of shit. That's a piece of shit that does that. Wow, it's an hour, man. This is like the worst nightmare. Oh my God, they walked another hour. I mean, this is how vested they are in my life. Oh, he's on a bicycle. Kill him. Extra money. Another 100,000. Get off the bike. That's how they work. Remember, one of the Koch brothers who was part of that, he's in hell. The next one will go as soon as God gets him. Now, there's liberals that are there also. Now, I can't judge Buck because he's never attacked my life, the Democrat molester. This is just to show you how it really works. Again, if you can't handle Christian truth, then don't claim to be a Christian all of you. If he was possessed by, let's say, the Koch brothers his entire life, then he'll be forgiven. And no, it's not a story about me. Every time I bring up something, they go, well, it's about you. It's self-serving because that's who you are. I was a victim of somebody like Buck. And that's real. So again, there's a lot of psychology to work through when they start that shit in your life, trying to turn you into a pedophile when you're a victim of a pedophile. Now, again, I don't even know if the psychology is real anymore. Because, again, they're that large. That there's a psychology that says if you were a pedophile, there's a chance that or if you're a victim of a pedophile, there's a chance that you would be a pedophile. But, again, I'm the probably least likely person to do that based upon what was moved against me. I'm really heterosexual family. That's what I am. I mean, I don't force that on other people. But, that's where that's where I'm supposed to be. That's what I've tried to go. No, you're in a prisoner of war camp, all of you, when they do that. There's no, but you're in isolation the whole time. Yeah, I got my mother. The only people they allowed around you are the people who are going to harm you. That's why they're trying to push for that woman that used to be my neighbor to be with me in life, because she'll harm me. So the only people you'll ever see around me are people that harm me. Especially, definitely people that won't help me. But most likely people that harm me. Nobody else allowed it while they're moving their sexual operations. Again, if a CIA officer was to be honest and was at liberty to tell you, because I don't know if they're, no. It was a taxi pulled up. I just waved at him, and he thought I didn't realize it was a taxi. I just waved at everyone. But again, they'll tell you that that's how they operate sometimes, putting sexual things in somebody's life, and then they take them out overseas. But again, they use it a lot more here in the United States against their neighbor than they do anyone else. And who goes against their neighbor? Satan. Who tells you to be nice to your neighbor? God. The reason we have crime is because they're pushing and forcing crime. It has nothing to do with politics. But yet someone will say it's politics. They work for Satan. Law enforcement no longer prevents crime. It has statistics. And it isn't only stats. Again, it's self-serving bullshit. Every last one of them is a criminal, and they enjoy causing crime in other people's lives. But stats says the more arrests you get, the more tickets you get. It's kind of like quotas. It's an unofficial quota system. So it's so funny when they, was the Schoolcraft's speaking about quotas. It's more than quotas. Or it's more than just that, I mean. Because the whole stat system in law enforcement is a quota system. It's just like stupid to condemn official quotas when the stat system is a quota system. And every investigator in the world works under that stat system. So if you don't arrest, get to an arrest and all, they'll ridicule you. I was at the point I was in the fugitive squad, and the CIA was like there everywhere with private operators. Slickster was working for the CIA. Little girl was working for the CIA. And they're not honorable people. These are the like if you would call the Marshal Service, my office, and say, well, who do you recommend that we select for the CIA? It would not be those two people. That you would recommend them for the anti-CIA. The people that would sell out the nation. Now, there are allegations that little girl was getting too close to prisoners a certain way, and in reality, it makes sense because they may have been part of something. She may have been instructed to assist certain people while they were in custody. Shadow communication. It would have been through that supervisor she was dating or something. I forget his name. I think I have it, but what's the initials there? So, the supervisor, KP, Kitchen Patrol, he berates me. He goes, this is your opportunity. Believe me, this is like probably months away from when I'm leaving, if that. Like, you're right. I go out on the street, and something's going to happen, and you're going to put me in jail. This is not. I mean, I go out with somebody else's case, but I'm going to, I'll gladly, go on a raid and all that, and I did. But my cases weren't moving. He's going, what's going on? What's going on? I'm not playing that game. I call somebody on the phone, and I supposedly said something. I go out. They screw the person's head. I shoot them, and then I go to jail. That's what they wanted. There are people. The people don't realize how lucky they are, and some do. Some know I won't kill them, but they don't know how lucky they were because I didn't end up like. They didn't end up like. What was that guy's name? Arthur Lloyd ended up shooting that drunk guy. That drunk guy was probably a deep stater or a secret society member. And they said, when you see that guy, fuck with him. He went and fucked with Arthur Lloyd, and Arthur Lloyd shot him. And then Arthur Lloyd went to jail for 15 years. And it's pretty much because he was black and he sued the Marshal Service. and he got not reparations, but got money. Got $36,000. So what they do is they have somebody harass him, and they're harassing him. You got to understand, when I was in the Ken Starr detail in 1990, what was that, like 7 or something, so 8, whatever it was. They told me to hate that guy. I went to the Marshal Service office in D.C., and they told me to hate this guy. And it's because he's black and he sued the Marshal Service. But I didn't. Oh, actually, did he sue them yet? He may not have sued them. I know he did sue them. He did, because that was part of the conversation. And I'm just like, like Larry, yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah. Oh, I hate that guy. Hey. Look, I don't hate my wife. I don't hate him. My wife's been trying to kill me for like 10 years. So, I forgot about it, but God made sure I saw that. So you have to realize, since this is 2005 or something, the incident, I think. And the thing is, I talked to KB, and she never told me about it. I guess she couldn't. Right? She figured the wiretap was on, But she never told me that happened with Arthur Lloyd. Maybe she didn't know I didn't know it. I think I spoke to her after. Yeah, I spoke to her after 2005, I think. Right. Nobody ever told me it happened. Big Dummy wouldn't take my calls. He wouldn't diss me. They well, he's not here. Leave a message. But KV, if KB had told me what happened after Lloyd, I could have taken care of it then. I mean, at least tried. Right. And I actually called her, I think, right around it. Probably right before somewhere in between when it happened and when it went to trial. But the people don't understand that that's what they're trying to make happen. Or at least it didn't back then. So the guy that was stalking me, that was a setup for me to kill him. And they've done it to other officers. Not sure where Carnaby fits in, but he's part of something there. He's either a causer or was caused. So some people out there are secret society, and they're harassing the officer into killing them. So again, there's both sides, but what is the answer? Is to stop it. So you can't really say, well, we're being hated. We shouldn't be. No, you're hating on people. That's why you're hated, all of you. And you have a secret society hate, which is one of the worst ones that in existence, and that's also commensurate with a ruler hate. You're rulers, and you're ruling. And you're ruling hate instead of healing. No, I told KB, I just woke up. I said, I woke up. I didn't know this. I guess kind of failed. I said, I didn't know this stuff was going on. I didn't know what the world was. It's pretty much our conversation. And how people were oppressed. I said some things about people being oppressed, I think. I was I didn't say power to the people, but it was pretty much a power to the people conversation with KB. You let her know I was asleep. I don't know what I would have said to Big Dummy. That's funny, this guy. I said, it looks like Big Dummy's over here getting in the Z-Trip van. But he's got the nice girlfriend. She's just like a doll, because she's normal, you know what I mean? Satan torments me, because the Broncos, the Challenger, the Mustangs, that woman. These are all the things I wanted in life, And of course, the officers are part of it. They denied my, home ownership. This bullshit about me harming somebody is the worst bullshit that ever could exist, because there are people out there that harm people that are getting everywhere today. In fact, somebody had sex with an underage girl last night using drugs, and they're going to have sex with another underage girl today, and they know the guy exists. They've seen him in clubs. They don't give a shit. He might actually be paying someone. Like I told you, Tyler, Texas, they tried setting me up to be a pedophile. This kid kept coming around me, and I just, going to be, what is that? Eddie Corbett, Eddie's father, whatever that story, that video, not video, show was. The courtship of Eddie's father. I was just kind of like Eddie's father to him. Like when I was a kid, I had a big brother, and yeah, he didn't get too serious. He just took us out and we did some things, and he didn't molest us. Thank you, Nick Tancredi. Thank you for being the only non-molester in my life. Nick was a great guy. He had a great life, though, I can imagine. I mean, thinking back, I mean, now that I know how things work, well, little Larry thought his girlfriend was beautiful. He had a good-looking girlfriend. He was a good-looking guy, too. But he was somebody that, if I look back in life and say, well, he was a person from the other side of the tracks. Even though we moved to the other side of the tracks, our life never became the other side of the tracks. My brothers did. My brother Steve did. I don't know about my other brother. He's a great guy, but I could look and see that he, that looking back and knowing how the world works, that he was part of, a society that would succeed. I gotta drink some water soon. So again, they took that file that was actually the subject of the case, their behavior in the way they were treating him, the way they were, reprimanding him for nothing, won him $36,000. But they took that file without a subpoena and handed it to the Montgomery County prosecutor. I understand the police officers didn't want to testify. It wasn't a thin blue line thing. I'll tell you that. It was a deep state, secret society thing. They knew he was harassed into it. And he believed he was defending himself and defending the community. Well, he had been assaulted. Again, one of the situations that we see when the officer's in the vehicle, he's not being assaulted. There's a way to disconnect. He shouldn't have pulled over. I don't pull over. 100%. I didn't even pull over when I had a gun. Once you're in that mode, you don't pull over. 100%. You make a phone call, and that's all you can do. Now, I did pull over when there were traffic stops, and sometimes back up an officer. If I had a cup of coffee, I'd say, well, I'll just sit there and drink my coffee and show them my badge and just sit there. So I've helped them like that. But I would never initiate a traffic stop or anything like that at that point. Or even pull over and try to flash my badge. They try to get me to do that. I mean, I dealt with the road rage things I tell you about. They do, and they used to do. It's road rage me. They did it in Oklahoma. They've done it here. I'm not sure if they did it here. They know they did it in Oklahoma. They're not testing anyone. You have to understand, when you take all those tests and you add them up, that's a stress that nobody's allowed to put into anyone else's life. Oh, I only did this. I only did that. It's a concentration camp is what it is. Because it also includes pushing you away from healthcare and things such as that. And even out here walking. Again, if you don't see me walking, that means I'm not well. It doesn't mean that I'm afraid of you. Again, that's their mind. I don't shrink into my room because you're doing it. It's because you've triggered something in my health that doesn't work for walking. And again, I think some of that was surreptitious drugging. Again, they're forcing a result so they can write it up as a psychological indicator. Well, the whole thing here, too, like this guy with this young girl, maybe even the Prithvi incident. I don't know what that was at this point. Could have been them trying to psychologically shift me into the idea of being with a younger girl and sitting with her and touching her in a holy place, that kind of thing. No, they're not testing people. What they're doing is they're isolating the person, and then they take normal situation and normal people and tell them to attack the person, while the people that are not attacking them and trying to be nice to them are in, the sexual situation they want that person to move into. My biggest regret is not marrying the porn star from Ohio. Believe it or not, she's a real porn star. She's a beautiful person, right? But I couldn't get anywhere. She started responding to what I was saying because I was like courting her. No, I didn't have like anything with her actually. We were just friends. I mean, imagine she was naked somewhere, but I was looking at the chat window mostly. Trying to have a conversation with a woman. I mean, it's been years, decades. But when it became apparent that they were going to get in the middle of everything, it was the girl that she said she was French or some shit. I don't think she was French. I think she was in Colombia or something. But it was the last woman that I kind of watched for a while. I observed that to see if there was organized crime. Some of it was that too. I would sit there. If I heard a voice off camera, I was very, very, very interested, right, to figure out who that was. Then there was a girl that said she was in Poland, and I believe she was Polish, but she had dollar bills. And I said, "Ah, you're in New York, aren't you?" Or something. I said something like that. No, I mean it's a plus to be with a good-looking woman, and I was a good-looking guy, but I look at conversation, just the future possibility of love, having love grow. That's really what I look at. I mean, it's a strange place for that, but that was the only place where I could speak to a woman. And they know that. But then they wanted me to go to actual prostitution, and that's not going to happen. Well, when I found out it wasn't against the law, and it wasn't like, it was all about sex, because it wasn't. You can watch what we spoke about. I think that's where they came with the grooming idea, I think. And that backs it up. Because they can't say I'm a groomer because I'm not a groomer. And then I'm falling in love with this. Well, he's just doing that. He's not really in love with anybody. He never falls in love with anybody. He's got this one psychosis that actually the woman that was Jonathan Linder's girlfriend actually has, and the others. They have psychosis like that. They don't love people. They love situations. Like how it enriches them, that type of thing. How it benefits them. Trump's like that. But so are a lot of the law enforcement people. And she's not the only one. There's tons of them. But she's the one that probably affected my life the most to make it all fall apart, including my wife. No, it's like Fatal Attraction. Whether it was a Fatal Attraction or not, that whole psychology of insanity is who they are. And that's what's really going on in law enforcement. It's really what's happening in Silicon Valley and the other places. Elon's a psychotic. Elon's psychotic. He's a drug addict. It's kind of like Scarface and his cocaine. Big line of cocaine or something. See, that's the thing. It's white-collar murder, but it's not really white-collar murder. But that's how they look at it, and then they excuse it. And, of course, if they can cause the person to have some, we killed him because of that. Yet there's another 50,000 people who are actually that. And they're living great lives, including going to parties with them. So again, what I believe happened is the crooked FBI and all the others, and the crooked Silicon Valley and all the others were these narcissists. And they met. And the situation was that they could benefit each other. But they told each other, but we could get rid of the criminals. But no. It protects certain criminals and tries to force crime into other people's lives. Of course they hate me, but see, the whole thing is, you shouldn't have messed with Silicon Valley because you said, see, they're doing prostitution. See, they're using drugs. I mean, fuck you. Fuck you and fuck your Silicon Valley United States. And fuck your boss Putin and fuck your boss MBS. Because that's who's fucking running this country. Yeah, liberals are part of it too. Again, the Ukrainians are smaller, but they're running their show too. It's all organized crime. It took over. That's why your kids are addicted to narcotics. That's why your kids are in the middle of sex trafficking. But guess what? Then the Marshal Service comes along and goes, oh, we're saving all of them. Well, how many of them are you responsible for being in bondage? You or your fellow agents or agencies? And or agencies. And of course, it's the ones that they don't investigate. That's where the PD mind picks up. Well, they came into our city and arrested those people over there, but those people over there have been doing that for like 40 years. Everybody knows they're there. They want to say Q clue. Fuck no. Fuck you all. Again, it's the same situation as Serpico. You have to actually be a criminal for them to accept you. But then again, if somebody comes along, they can arrest you. So again, it's bullshit. Because they'll go, well, all you have to do is be part of it. Bullshit. Well, don't be in my life. Again, this is not secret government information. I had no secret government information hardly at all. They never trained me. They knew from the first day they were going to do this to me. From the first day that I was in the Marshal Service in Baltimore, they knew they were going to do this to me. Maybe even the BOP. And then they panicked because they realized I had evidence of what they were doing, including the BOP. I still have the evidence of their sexualization. Related some of it on the broadcast. And of course, the people that did it are who? Captains, wardens. This is who they become. And then they say, oh, I don't know what happened to Epstein. Oh, see, but Epstein is a pedophile, right? And why did he operate? And why was he free? Why did he have a great life? Because he was part of your criminal enterprise. And then what happened? Bannon came in, wanted to get into good graces of Trump, got information from Epstein that Epstein was calling Trump a criminal. So they killed him because he had evidence. So that's how that worked. Whether it's metaphysical or physical, again, who knows? But Epstein is dead simply because he said Trump was a criminal. Whitey Bulger is dead because he simply said the FBI is a criminal. No, I'm not here to lift up your criminal enterprise. See? No, not see. Not see. Get it? You're Nazis. And who are the people that arranged that? The people in the VOP that tried to sexualize me. Because now they're captains, wardens, or maybe they're headed for retirement soon. Working the office that moves people around in D.C. No, remember the marshals that all started committing suicide because they looked at child porn, they did this, they did that. That's who it is. These people work for CIA, and when they believe you're never going to commit that crime again, they're trying to get me to commit crimes in the beginning. In other words, if I harass a coworker, that's obstruction of justice, that's assault on federal officer. Possibly, in my office, it was included fabricated statements. So I'm figuring, I don't do that. There's other things what they tried to get me to do outside of that. But that right there, and if it's in national security, then it could be sabotage. So that's what's going on. And what they tried to get me to do. And some other things, I wouldn't do it. And that's when it got really bad. And they try to say, well, it's because you're a criminal. This is really what's going on, man. This is really who's in charge of the world right now. That's really who's calling Russia and going, you're okay, but yet won't say it to a coworker. Because Russia doesn't want the coworker to feel okay and wants the coworker gone. Our CIA director called Putin in the middle of a war and said he was okay. No, there's no operational reason. They make a bullshit. Again, the idea of making a bullshit operational reason to do something. No, it's not about Republican or Democrat. Trump will do it 10 times as much as the director will. No, there's no politics. Politics is, when you say politics now, you say criminal enterprise. So it gets, okay, my criminal enterprise, your criminal enterprise, their criminal enterprise. Again, I don't have criminal enterprise. But I could, if you want me to. I could just make one happen. I go, criminal enterprise attacks you. Wow. It's that easy. So again, El Chapo brought some of it up, and his people, that there were people in the United States that took money. Right. I don't know if his wife, to get a sweetheart deal, may have told him who some of those people. And again, some of those people will never be investigated, no matter what El Chapo's wife tells him. Or maybe she was told to keep quiet. And if she doesn't say anything, then they let her live. El Chapo may have been saying something about people in the United States taking money, and then they took him out. So you see, it's not that he's who he is, it's that how does their criminal enterprise view El Chapo as a friend or a foe? And again, it's not like, oh, he's helping law enforcement. It's the reverse. You know, and when we go back, what's that guy's name? When we go back to DEA, what year was that? I got to go through that year. When we look at the DEA agent that was killed, and I can hear it, but I can't think of it, years ago in Mexico, it wasn't Solly, it wasn't Woody. Was that a hit? Was he killed? Was he killed off? Because he wouldn't take money. I can go back in my mind to most likely those type of operations to the 80s. I can go back to at least 87. Possibly 85. The further I go back, the less evidence that I could provide. So I would tell you in the 80s, they knew how to sexualize people. And I hear from PI Mind and spies saying yes. No, you just have to stop, man. Now, they have to pay me. I'm going to still speak about it. No, you're not going to sit there and do this to my life till I'm like, what am I now, 59 today? I think it's my birthday. Is it my birthday or something? And get away with it all. You're all going to hell. That's the first part of it. But I'd like to see here hell on earth. You were told not to do it, all of you. You were given evidence not to do it. Meanwhile, you threw the other evidence away, shredded it, erased it, bleached it. And this guy must be disabled or something. I think it looks like maybe a Johnson County disabled taxi or something. All right, I got to drink some water here soon. What time is it? An hour and a half. Am I it or what? Oh, he's done shopping. I thought he was like taking a break or something. He's going to come back out and go somewhere else. Pulling stuff out of the trunk. No, your system. My brother, I know how you all think, because again, I was able to speak to my brother, and he was indoctrinated. So early on, I spoke to him, and I acted like it was natural to speak about it. I just either left the government, or I think I had just been drugged. And again, you drove the need to investigate it further. And I said I started talking to him, and he says, somebody has to watch everybody. That's what he said. And I'm thinking, but these are sicko narcissists. I didn't say anything. I went, oh, I guess you have a point there, bro. Gee golly willikers. So this is what's in their mind. That this is the highest order of life that we could live. Why? Because it pays them. Now, since then, my brother has changed a little bit. But I explained to him, I said, you lost all your money in the market because they're doing that to me. The market was down because so the market's up right now. But what does that mean? Something else is failing. It never stops. And then what goes up must come down. Well, Putin does things with the market to manipulate people. Putin would love to take it up. It's just like Bud Light. Because they were doing liberal things, conservatives, maybe including Putin, invested. And then they pulled their money at the same time with the boycott. Again, it's spycraft. That was a setup. So when you look at how much your shares were selling for, they never would have sold for that much. They wanted to bring it up that high so they could drop it. It was a setup. Just be glad that you made the money you made off those crooks. So obviously the worst thing they could have done was reverse it. Right. Well, because the conservatives are still not drinking Bud Light. And now you offended the liberals. So again, the conservatives like taking credit for all that. No, you lost a lot more probably liberals than you did conservatives. Well, when I was growing up, what we call Bud Light and all that kind of stuff, it's called piss. So your beer's piss anyway. It's just an illusion. Your beer is piss water. So I don't know what the big deal is, why everybody's buying it. A fad, I guess. Or a spycraft operation. Buy it. Now let's drop it and say it's because they supported LGBTQ. And start a war. What's her name? Dylan. There's nothing wrong with Dylan, really. I mean, when we go to the internet and we look at who's all on social media and everything, nothing wrong with Dylan. Well, go to Twitter and pull up the porn. Something wrong with Dylan? Is there something wrong with Dylan? No, of course not. It's just their way of attacking someone. Dylan may have actually been somebody that they killed in life. Don't know. She could have been molested as a child. The molester paid money to cover it up. Oh, look, she's a gay trans anyway. That boy that the molester molested is is no longer an issue, right? That's really what cops are doing. The rest is an illusion. It's all a construct. Now, is there a 911 call? Do they come and do they answer? Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to do something, right? I mean, the idea where it would be 100% construct wouldn't work. But that's what they're driving for. You can shoot somebody dead in the street and they say it was all in self-defense. And a lot of times it is, and you don't get away with it. Why? Or not get away with it? They don't honor it. Why? Because you're doing what I say you're doing. Where I was ready for those trails in Olathe, but you'll pay for it. And that's nothing physical. Don't let your officers tell you, well, if he says this and he says, fuck you, then over here he's going to do something physical. They've been torturing me for with 100% awareness of them doing it for at least 20 years now. Never touched anyone. No, but we got this cold case over here. See how that works? But you see how that works. Again, you'll pay for it all. But that's not physical from me. That's from God. I'm supposed to be walking on a trail in Olathe today, saying hi to my neighbor, healing my neighbor. Healing your neighbor is loving your neighbor. Cursing all of you that are causing these issues in my neighbor's life is healing my neighbor and healing the neighborhood. You've made yourselves it. So what I can see is that they've done this before and somebody became physically violent. Maybe did they ever shoot somebody that just came up and freaked out? Do you have a history of that around here anywhere? Oh, the guy was assaulting an officer. There's nothing they could do but kill him. They may all, like these guys, hi, how you doing? They're murderers. Who are we murdering? The person you want to kill? Just like every other murderer. Don't try to elevate yourself. So they harass and use these psychological methods, proves them to cause violence. And then they shoot the person when they lash out. You hear them all day, and if you listen, if you want to listen, instructing somebody that they've had enough and they should do something about it. You made yourselves it, all of you. This may be the center of evil for the planet. Do you realize that? Lenexa, Olathe, and Overland Park may be the center of evil for the planet today because it moves. MBS may be able to have killed and dismembered Khashoggi, or whatever his name is, because of this location. He doesn't have the power on his own. But because they all believe in Antichrist activity and effectuate Antichrist activity, even in the name of Jesus, they work together. But it's also a physical tie, I'm sure. I'm sure you'll find MBS here in Kansas somewhere, especially in this region. Now, let's not call it Saudi Arabia. Let's call it what it is. MBS is one of their organized crime bosses. And he's very violent and murderous. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.